Our next speaker has been a longtime partner of CDC Homes. She is a very distinguished HR specialist based in Singapore and currently the Director of Human Capital and Development of the Pan-Pacific Service Suites Group. Please extend your generous attention to Ms. Melrose Angeles.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. Again, my name is Melrose, and I will be sharing two important topics, which is future of work and how to stand out above the rest. Yeah, so just to share a little bit of this future of work, kasi yung topic natin is Diskarte. So again, it's important na alam natin kung ano yung magiging trend ng future at pwede tayong makapag-prepare na din. So the world of work is actually changing and we are living through a fundamental transformation in the way we work. So merong mga automation, merong artificial intelligence, and most of this are actually replacing some of the human tasks. And while jobs will be lost and many others created, almost all actually will change. So we are competing with technology, so we must stay on top of our game in this age of diminishing human touch. Because if you don't stay relevant, you will be redundant or you will be obsolete. There are three ways to stay relevant. You have to be tech savvy. Number two is invest in lifelong learning. Expand your network. We are going to zoom into each of this. Firstly, let's talk about being tech savvy. As you can see from the graph, there is an increasing trend in the daily time spent via the internet and mostly from mobile. Phones are much more convenient and it's actually able to access information anytime, anywhere. I will be giving you some examples of these few applications that you can actually should be familiar with. So for communications, so these are some of the group chats that we can actually use. So you can also share files, photos, and there are too many ways to communicate through these apps. So I'm sure all of you is already familiar with this. You just have to be very flexible and always ask your client which communication app they prefer to connect. So these four are mostly used for informal or personal engagement. These are your Messenger, your Viber, your WhatsApp, and Telegram. Next, this is basically used for business meetings, your Skype, your Zoom, Google Meet, and then team meetings. This is actually useful to maximize your time. What's good about this is it's actually free. Next is we have this shared folder. This is basically used for collaboration purposes. So if you have a team, it is easier to share information instead of via email. So you can actually edit real time and there is an audit trail as well. So LinkedIn, I actually suggest that you update your LinkedIn account. Kung wala pa kayo, it's time for you to create this because this is like your Facebook for professionals. So just to share a bit of this, when I had my second condo and it was handed to me by the developer, I actually engaged a leasing manager, and this leasing manager is actually in this group chat tonight or one of the participants. And then he actually managed to get a tenant for me. And then this person actually looked for me via LinkedIn to probably check my credibility or whether I am the legitimate owner of that particular condo. I think really LinkedIn is a way for us to be able to create that credibility. So I mean, I prefer to be using LinkedIn rather than Facebook. Next is we have this e-commerce. During this period, almost all are actually switching to online selling and online buying as well. And then another one is payment options. Gone are the days now we have to go to SM or we go to buyer centers to pay our bills. But nowadays, there are different ways or options that outside of the internet banking. And I believe in the Philippines, GCash and PayMaya are some of the most preferred method. So the second way to stay relevant is invest in lifelong learning. This is actually similar to what Michael has just mentioned earlier, the modern illiterate, di ba? So if you can still remember kung ano ibig sabihin ng modern illiterate niya, you have to learn and learn and relearn. So mine is very related because you really have to invest in lifelong learning. Again, This is an ongoing and really voluntary and self-motivated. Kasi it's really up to you whether you really want to relearn. The problem is that many people aren't into this idea of continuous learning. Some probably are working in the company for, say, 10 to 15 years, but instead of having that 15 years of experience, in fact, they only have 1 year of experience repeated 15 times. Kasi you are actually doing your job like paulit-ulit na pare-parehas lang, di ba? So that is basically the reason why most of these people are not adapting to the changes required by the new global economy. And as a result, they don't develop credibility and they become obsolete. The mindset of lifelong learning is someone who keeps acquiring new skills and capabilities well past their formal education years. Kasi yung ating mindset is that nakapag-aral naman na tayo ng ating 4-year degree. So tama na yon. So na-mention din yan kanina sa previous talk. If you see from these slides, there are some resources that you can actually look into for your personal development, and then for skills development resources, and then definitely if you wanted to pursue your degree, or if you wanted to really have your own masters, you can actually do this via online na rin nowadays. So to stay relevant, you have to continue to upskill and reskill. I believe that there are no uninteresting thing. There are only uninterested people. Lastly, if you want to stay relevant, you have to expand your network. Networking is underrated. You can actually get rich by having the right conversation with the right person. Remember, your network is your net worth. Good to have a database of both your strong and weak ties. So who are your strong ties? So these are the people that you actually communicate quite often. And this is part of your inner circle. And how about your weak ties? Ayan. So these are the people that you seldom talk or you seldom chat. And these are definitely the people that you really have to actually contact with. So yung high school friends mo, when was the last time na nag-communicate kayo sa kanila? And then your neighbor probably. So ito yung mga weak ties natin. And the question there is, why are you activating your weak ties? Bakit kailangan nating i-activate yung weak ties? Yung ating mga high school friends, yung ating mga childhood neighbor. Because it's good to actually start engaging them or start sending messages. Kasi if for the last 10 years, hindi kayo nagchat-chat sa kanila and suddenly, nag-message kayo, ano sa tingin nyo ang reaction ng mga friends nyo? Pwede po kayong mag-type ng answer dyan sa ating group chat. Yung 10 years or 5 years na hindi kayo nag-communicate, tapos biglang nagsabi ka ng, hi, hello, ano kaya ang mga reactions nila? So, sabi nila, meron buhay ka pa pala, but most of the time, may intention, tama? Ano kaya yung intention? Mangungutang, yan, tama. Or kaya, may ibibenta, yan ang natural reaction of people. Kaya at this point in time, we actually suggest that you actually activate your weak ties now. Or otherwise, magiging seen ka lang. Hindi ka nila talaga re-replyan. So I'm sure marami ang makaka-relate sa inyo dito. All right. So now that you have activated your strong and your weak ties, so it's good to know how to expand your network. Number one is you have to push yourself. You have to strike more conversation with people, because if you don't open your mouth and be able to first say hi to a person and exchange business card, you won't be remembered at all. So be the very first to break the ice. So paano ba mag-break ng ice? Hindi yung literal na mag-break tayo ng yellow, ha? Breaking the ice is for you to be the very first person to greet, and then you are the first person na mag-smile, and you are the first person to offer a handshake. Number two is, it's good for you to actually join communities and meet people outside of your circle. So only join a group that you're really very passionate about. Parang uso yata ngayon yung mga mahilig sa plants, na uso sa Pilipinas. So if you are really into it, you can also join sa Facebook group ng mga plantito and plantita, siguro meron yan. And if you are interested with business, for example, or Zumba, may nagsabi na may mga Zumba, pwede rin po kayo na mag-join doon. And then at the same time, pwede rin kayo na pagka-interested kayo sa mga investment, pwede po kayo maghanap ng group na usapang pera, for example. Number 3 is you have to offer your expertise to people who need it. So this is where pwede po kayong mag-volunteer. Because if they will, definitely pag nag-volunteer kayo, they will actually remember you, and when you need help in the future, hindi sila magsisay no sa'yo. For example, if you are a health worker, pwede po kayong mag-volunteer for some medical mission. And then if you are a very, very good public speaker naman, pwede kayong magbigay ng mga free talks. So just to share, dito sa Singapore, I am very active sa school ng anak ko because I am one of the executive committee of the parents and mga teachers sa school ng anak ko. And every time na meron silang talks para sa mga estudyante nila, they always invite me. I always talk about how to, prepare themselves during interview, and so on and so forth. The reason why I'm doing this is because yung aking network is mai-expand. Hindi lang siguro yung mga sa corporate world ang makikilala ko. By doing this, I managed to have good relationship with principal, lahat ng teachers, and at the same time, pati mga students. So that's another way for me to be able to somehow expand my network. Ayan. So networking is not about collecting contacts. It's all about building relationships and how to build this relationship. So it's something that we have to really remember. So number 1 is be a people finder. So sabi nga ni Michael kanina, you really have to step out of your comfort zone and meet new people. So we also need to be genuine. So genuine meaning to say you have to be very genuine sa iyong intention. Hindi mo lang siya ginagawang friend or contact mo simply because meron kang vested interest sa kanya. Hindi lang yung dahil naging kaibigan mo siya, gusto mo lang siyang maging kaibigan dahil bibentahan mo lang siya. So dapat hindi ganon kasi most of the time, pagka hindi interested yung person, sina-strike off na kaagad natin. So I believe it's good for us to be able to keep them warm. Ayan, sabi ni Mary Joseph, totoo daw yon. And then number 3, make a connection. So you really have to find a common interest so that you can start the conversation. Kasi very important talaga na meron kayong common na pag-uusapan, ano? Touch them on emotional level and then find stories to share. So very important talaga. And then know the person more. Next is overcome your fear of rejection. Sometimes kasi you are intimidated with some people's status in life, especially pag nakatanggap tayo ng business card, ano? And then when we see na president pala ito or vice president, parang ayaw na natin na tawagan yung person kasi na-intimidate na tayo. Mayroon na tayong fear of rejection talaga. So I just really suggest that wag tayong matakot. Pick up the phone and open your mouth because you cannot build that relationship. And this business cards na meron kayo, magiging parte lang siya ng mga stocks mo ng business card sa bahay mo. So yun ang pinaka-importante. And then, of course, the next one is be persistent, but not too aggressive. Don't call them daily. Find some reason to contact them. For example, if your company is celebrating their anniversaries, you can actually invite them. And then number 6, if you want to keep them in your inner circle, you have to check in frequently. A simple how are you makes a lot of difference. Again, these are the 3 ways to stay relevant. Be tech savvy, invest in lifelong learning, and expand your network. People come back and look for you because of the experience that they have with you. So kung may mga questions po kayo, continue po na i-type nyo lang sa ating chat box. Then I will move on to our next topic. So the art of standing out above the rest. So why work so hard to fit in when you can actually stand out? So let's find out these 6 steps in order for us to stand out above the rest. Number 1, you have to leave a lasting impression because according to studies, within 6 seconds, people can actually make an evaluation of you. Thus, it's really important that we leave a lasting good impression, especially if you are meeting someone for the very first time. Ayan. So you really have to be a brand ambassador because you are your brand. You are actually, you are selling yourself. Parang ganyan. So pay attention with your grooming, your personal care, your hygiene. Before you meet up with your client, make sure that you dress appropriately. So put on some perfume, make sure that your nails are neatly trimmed. The key here is keep it simple but professional. Number two is focus on your body language. This is more on your non-verbal form of communication. So you have to be very conscious of your mannerism, your gestures, and your behaviors. And what's important is when you are talking to someone, you really have to make an eye contact. You have to smile, magnad kayo most of the time, and then greet them with a firm handshake. You are being perceived via verbal. What are the words that you say? You are being perceived visual. How you look, your body language, your facial expression, your dressing, your voice, and your tone then, your actually volume, your pitch, your speed. So these are the things that you really have to consider. When we look good and confident, people will perceive that they are talking to a professional and they would feel that their needs will be taken care of. So when you truly believe, now you can actually create what you envision. And when you are not afraid of the obstacles, that confidence will automatically make you stand out. Next, be an active listener. One of the basic human needs to understand and to be understood. So learn to truly listen. Ayan. So avoid distractions. So if you are talking to someone, put away your mobile phone or switch it off. Ayan. Or you can probably tilt your head closer to show na you are really interested in what this person is actually talking about. You can also paraphrase to show that you understand. So you respond, you can actually respond by saying, aha, and then you can actually nod, and then you can say, go ahead. And of course, it's important for you to respond to what the other person is actually saying. As an active listener, you need to remember key points. So ang key dito is you have to bring your very nice planner kasi kailangan mong magsulat para hindi mo makalimutan, especially na as we age, nagkakaroon na tayo ng madalas na tayong makalimot ng mga importanteng bagay. So it's important talaga that we really take down notes. So you will only stand out in any situation if you become a person who listens from the heart. Malaramdaman niya ng inyong kausap. Ayan. Next is asking meaningful questions because conversations are actually based on give and take. So it may help you to prepare questions for the person that you will be meeting. So in fact, you really have to take few minutes to really understand or to really find out something about the person. So a little tip here, you can actually look at the person's social media. You can go through their LinkedIn or Facebook, but I would really suggest that you better go to their LinkedIn account for you to be able to find out more about this person. Because if you are able to do that, then this is where you would be able to really ask meaningful questions from them. Ayan, nagmamadali po ako kasi we're running out of time. Ayan. Next slide is we have to be optimistic. Optimism is a choice because a more optimistic person, despite the negativity surrounding you. Alam natin na ang daming negative around us, but if you remain optimistic, you are like a magnet na kaya mong mag-attract ng tao. Ayan. And then your attitude shines through in everything that you do. Step number 2 is you have to expand your influence. Earlier on, we've mentioned about the weak and strong ties, di ba? And both of these weak and strong ties belongs to your warm ties. So yung cold ties natin, these are the people that you have just met. So for example, nagpunta ka ng Starbucks or nagpunta ka ng any coffee shop or nagpunta ka sa open house or umattend ka ng networking event, these are your cold ties. And these are the people that we really have to focus on. Ayan. Now that you are confident and that you have your database of the people, then the next step is you have to plan your day for success. You really set your entire day and put this in your calendar. Ayan. So in planning your day for success, you have to be a hunter. Be that someone who is the very first to find and observe something. Ito yung mga forward thinker. A hunter is like a CEO, and you are basically the CEO because this is considered as your business as well. Hunters know how to analyze situation, and hunters are always on the lookout for a new opportunity. Sabi nga nila, ang qualities daw of a hunter is that they really love the chase. Meaning to say, kahit maraming nag-say no to them, they will not give up simply because they love doing this. And they are also thick-skinned because in sales role, the majority of time you are going to be told no. This is a constant truth, regardless of how good a salesperson you are. Being able to both handle objections and deal with rejection is a vital for a hunter. So similarly, as a good salesperson will always ruffle a few feathers along the way. This is where being thick-skinned comes to it. So you being able to take any criticism or negative feedback on the chin, learn from it and move on. And this is another core part of being a hunter's character. And as a hunter, they are also extremely competitive. So being better than the rest is a huge motivator for a hunter. And seeing someone else at the top of the sales leaderboard spurs them on. Lalo na kung may competition, nakikita mo sino yung top earner, and so on and so forth. So as a hunter, you really have to set yourself a target because sales is a number game. So you really have to plan your day by scheduling how many people you want to meet on that day, how many calls you need to do for the day as well, where and how would you want to spend your time. Have your own strategy because you are the CEO of your business. Next, be a farmer. Farmers are specialists at servicing the existing customer base, keeping those relationships going and staying attuned to opportunities to sell with them again. Think about how am I going to go out and spend money, because as a farmer, these are also considered as custodian. You really have to set a budget to spend on your prospective client. Meeting clients would probably cost you about $5 to $10 just to go for some coffee, because again, if you are scared money don't earn money. So next, we have to be a doer, a person who actually act and get things done. You are in operations. You have to go out there and meet your clients for viewing sites, for site visits. So these are the things that you really have to do. So you have to be visible, and you really need to go out there and do the work because this is your job. So to plan your day for success, you have to be a hunter, a farmer, and a doer. If you do it this way, you will grow your business, if you are a salesperson, definitely your business or your sales will actually go up. And if you are entrepreneur, if you also follow this, then you can actually see that your business is growing. Step number 4. Step number 4, you have to follow these 3 F's. The first F is you have to follow up. Follow up like it's your job. Let people know that you are the best in your job. Be their go-to person. For example, if anyone is looking for HR manager, for example, or head of HR, the first thing that should come to mind is Melrose. Yun, because I have created my own brand. So people would always remember me as the best in what I am doing, which is in HR. So if they are looking for best in real estate sales or best in selling hotel properties or our service suites or hotel in like Citadines, Millennium, Ortigas, so they would definitely look for you because you are very good in what you are doing. So that is follow up. It just makes sense that those people that you met on the street, keep track on them. Ayan. And then, of course, the next one is you have to follow through. Follow through is doing what you said you are going to do. For instance, you have met someone, sabi mo, you are going to send them some collateral, some quotations. So the moment that you reach home, please send them what you have told them that you are going to do. So keep your word. Words are meaningless without intent and follow through. So yan is very important. And then number three, the three F's is, the third F is follow back. Anyone that you have worked with before or anyone who bought properties with you before, stay connected. Check in frequently. This is how you build relationship, which we also discussed earlier on, right? And definitely you will be able to get referrals from them as well. So you have been hearing all this building relationship, expanding your network and so on, because this is really very important in your business. So if you do follow up, if you do follow through, and if you do follow back, you are on your way to stand out among the rest. Step number 5, we have to meet new people. It is again linked to expanding your network. Be a people finder. So aside from attending open houses, be active in your social media as well. So update your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn. And because in sales, more people means more money. Do you agree? The more people that you've met, there is more money that you can actually look forward to. Yes, sabi ni Mary Ann, yes, and it's true, sabi din ni Grace. Thank you very much for all those comments. Step number 5, or step number 6, we are on the last step already. This is practice, practice, practice. This is no-brainer, but this is always the step that is often overlooked. So think about professional athletes, they actually spend 95% of their time practicing and only 5% playing the game. And they are so disciplined. They keep on doing it, and at the same time, they become expert in this, or expert in what they do. Same thing in sales. You really have to spend time honing your skills. You have to learn from someone who is very good at it. This is where you really have to look for mentor. According to studies, only 5% of salespeople spend time on taking courses or personal development. Again, I would actually link this to investing in lifelong learning. So that is really key. So if you do this regularly, you can guarantee that you will actually stand out. So if you want to stand out and be the best version of yourself, you have to actually follow these 6 steps. First is you have to leave a lasting first impression, expand your influence, plan your day for success. You have to be a hunter, a farmer, and a doer. And then step number 4, you have to do these 3 F's: follow up, follow through, and follow back. And then number 5, you have to meet new people. And number 6, practice, practice, and practice. Great things can happen when you set yourself up to be noticed in the right way. Thank you very much, and hope you are able to have a takeaway for tonight. Ito ang makakatulong sa atin para sa makakatulong para tayo sa kung ano man yung pwede nating baguhin sa ating mga sarili. And at the same time, ito rin yung mga tips na sana ay pwede nating magawa after this session. So if you have any questions, you can just type it in our chat box. So before I go, you can actually connect with me via my email, Facebook, Instagram, and via YouTube. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be able to share with you tonight. God bless everyone.